I think there's lots of, I think the internet is a great place for anyone to start to build a career, no matter disability or not. But if you do have disabilities, it definitely presents a platform where you can develop skills in website design. There's lots of great platforms that present the appropriate resources and tools to grow a business or to grow a business on your own, or to even start to work with clients if a website development is something you're looking at pursuing. When it comes to social media, I think there's more mediums and platforms and channels that you can really, take advantage of, whether it's podcasting with audio content or videos with video content. And more platforms are incorporating closed captions and different different abilities to make it accessible for everybody.
Yeah, that's a great question. I'm all about diversity. Diversity breeds success, as the line goes. And for me, I look at it like this. I don't care what your situation is. If you can get the job done, then I want you on my team. You know what I mean? It's all about performance. It's all about getting the job done and providing a different perspective on things. Um, People shouldn't be making decisions if they've never experienced um, whatever the situation is included. So, if I've never been to a farm before in my life, I shouldn't be making decisions about farmers because I just don't know. You know, it's okay to take recommendations from people that are in the know, and I understand that aspect of leadership. But um, when it comes to diversity, you need to have more people on the team so you can make better, more informed decisions, and I think that's important.
Sure. I think the hardest thing to say to any entrepreneur is not right now. Yes, but not now, because there's such a thing as shiny object syndrome, right? If you have a passion for writing and someone says, "Well, what you really need to do is you really need to have a podcast." So you think, "Well, I'll write and I'll have a podcast." And then someone comes along and says, "Well, what you really need to do is you need to have a YouTube channel." So you think, well, I'll write and I'll have a podcast and I'll have a YouTube channel too. And all of a sudden you're not doing any of them well because you're too stretched out. So you're right. There is a need to diversify, and there's joy and adventure in diversification, but that your first question of perseverance applies first. Choose your vehicle and become successful in your vehicle. And set your metric, right? Maybe you say, when I have 10,000 people reading my blog, I will move to podcast. So you've achieved competence and success in one channel. Then you have the mental and energetic capacity to take on another channel. So don't rush yourself. You can do all things, not all at once.
Yeah, and you've proven the concept, right?
Right.
A lot of business owners have great ideas, but they don't know how to conceptualize it into a concept that works, right? So
very true.
So
yeah, it's a must, right? It's a must. And I think I was labeled with disabilities as a child, learning disabilities, and I had problems walking when I was first born. I had to wear a small leg brace for a while. And I think about how obviously incredibly lucky I am that I was able to have the corrective practices go into place to be able to move my body. And here's one of the things I don't think people think about enough, Kevin, is this idea of you should be super grateful that you're alive, right? There's a 1 in 78 trillion chance that we could even be here and even have this conversation. And I have an immense amount of gratitude just that I get to be inside this body. And yes, it's difficult. And yes, it's hard. And I have my own issues that I'm constantly dealing with. But the fact that we get to be here and even having this conversation is so beautiful in consideration that it's implausible. And so that said, I think that we do absolutely, without question, have to be inclusive. And I often think about this, we're so quick to judge in society and look at and label people without understanding who they are. And when I was young, people would look at me and they'd go, oh, he's the poor kid. He's the learning disabled kid. He's the kid who's never going to amount to anything. And think to myself, when we put those labels on people, that's impactful, right? It not only hurts them, but it actually hurts us as the people who are doing it, because we've now closed our thought process and our hearts to this idea of possibility. And I think if we're going to grow as a society, possibility means that everyone gets to have their place at the table, right? Because ultimately it's community that's going to guide us to what's next, and everybody needs to be a part of that. Because this earth, this life that we're living, it's not owned by any one singular person, right? We are here as a collective, and that unity, in order for us to grow and to heal and to change society, like, it's got to be done through inclusion.